Welcome to the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction Postgame Show. I am James Ham. Mr. Rui Thomas is joining me. Say hello, Rui.
Hello.
There's Rui. The Sacramento Kings win 110 to 107. No DeMarcus Cousins, no Rudy Gay. Both of them foul out of the game. And Darren Collison grabs his team by the horns and wrestles it to a victory somehow, some way. Pretty impressive offensive game for the Sacramento Kings, but not so much on the defensive end. Rui, what are your first impressions of this Sacramento Kings victory?
Well, the offense was definitely going tonight. The hoop was like 3 feet wide. The Kings, their first quarter they shot 77.7%, 14 of 18 field goals, which was their best shooting performance in a quarter this season. But again, you mentioned the defense, and the defense was terrible to say the least tonight. We saw, I think the moment was captured perfectly by those stretches when Derek Williams was covering Andrew Wiggins one-on-one, and Wiggins was blowing by him time and time again for dunks. But, offense, like Don Nelson will preach, it can carry you over, maybe not in the playoffs, but in the regular season, and it did help the Kings tonight.
Yeah, I think if we go to this game and we really break down, you got to halftime, the Kings were shooting 65% at the half, and they led by two. I mean, to me, two things are going on here. Number one, this team cannot hold onto the ball at all. It's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. They turn the ball over so often, it doesn't even look like they're trying. I mean, tonight, Rudy Gay finishes with, he's 21 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. It looks like on paper it's good until you get to his turnovers, and he's got 8 turnovers. And this team, again, 20 turnovers. They don't value the ball at all. And then adding on to the not valuing the ball, they play no defense at all. I mean, we talked about this the other night. This is, realistically, this is all-star game defense. This is, I mean, a 5-25 team just took them to the brink. And the Kings are lucky to come out of this. I mean, Derek Williams in the final seconds of this game makes one of the bigger gaffes I've ever seen. I think there was 20 seconds left on the clock, 6 on the shot clock, and Derek Williams hoists up a three-pointer and airballs it. What are you doing? In what book of basketball is that okay? So Derek Williams gets to start tonight for Jason Thompson. Jason Thompson does play, but Derek Williams, besides that huge gaffe and the fact that he couldn't guard Andrew Wiggins at all, not even attempt to guard him. Derek Williams actually does have a nice night. He finishes with 17 points. He has a productive night. He had 3 assists, which was kind of surprising. So a pretty solid all-around game. If the Kings are going to run, if this is a style we're going to see from this Sacramento Kings offense, and this is what Pete D'Alessandro and Vivek Ranadive want, then Derek Williams makes perfect sense in the starting lineup. Would you agree, Rui?
Oh, yeah. Well, Derek Williams, a great feature of his is that he loves to run. Right? You may not be able to lead the break, but you can definitely finish on the break. And we saw him throw down a dunk tonight, and he threw a oop to Ben McLemore tonight for a dunk. The Kings ran really well tonight, 21 fast break points versus the Timberwolves 9, and the Timberwolves came into tonight ranked 6th in the league in fast break points. So that was great, gassing out the young team in their own building. After we saw Thompson get benched yesterday, we weren't so sure who was going to start in his place again tonight, and then Williams gets the call against his former team. Definitely a very impressive start. He was playing very aggressively, driving, and his three-pointer looked good, at least in the first half when he was 2 for 2. Finishes 3 for 6 from behind the three-point line. But, yeah, he adds 5 rebounds, those 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Pretty good numbers for him and a spot start.
Yeah, it's kind of the strange thing, though, that we're dealing with the Sacramento Kings. It's like Ryan Holland starts last game after not playing for a while, with the passing of his father. And then tonight, Ty Corbin goes with a tight 9-man rotation, and neither Reggie Evans or Ryan Hollins plays. On a side note, I'll add that Eric Moreland did tear his labrum, and he is going to be out for the remainder of the season after having shoulder surgery. Ramon Sessions continues to be out of this, out with a lower back strain, which is kind of strange. He's dragged this thing out for a little while. I'm not sure if that's a team decision or if he's actually hurting. But we've started to see Ray McCallum play more. We started to see Nick Stauskas start to play more. But let's finish up with what we got here with DeMarcus Cousins has another solid game. He was dominant early, but again, he just couldn't stay out of foul trouble. He finishes with 19 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds. Some of his assists are incredible. He did have a couple of really bad goaltending calls. He had 2 blocks, but he also did some foolish things as far as goaltending. And he actually, at one point, he had a one-handed jam, and he just hung on the rim with one arm for like 4 or 5 seconds. And that's a really good way to get a technical foul, which is something he's trying to avoid after getting kicked out during yesterday's game. And I think a lot of people were surprised to see DeMarcus Cousins in this game. DeMarcus Cousins did throw down Marcus Smart in the final, against the Boston Celtics. And a lot of people thought he would be suspended for this game, but the league never called. The league doesn't call. You don't have to sit the guy. No fine, no nothing to this point. From what I'm hearing, so kind of an interesting thing that DeMarcus Cousins escaped the league ban. And let's see. Besides that, we can Ben McLemore, 14 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Ben McLemore is just getting better and better and better. He played some sparkling defense down the stretch that led to a turnover that ended up being huge. He's really, really developing, which is fun to watch. So Rui, outside of that, what else you got from this starting lineup and this? Well, I guess you can go all 9 deep here with what we have, 9 players playing tonight.
Well, after Thompson sat the whole game yesterday morning, we saw him come out tonight and play really well, playing backup center in his 24 minutes. Perfect from the field, 3 for 3, and hits a big, long 2 in the final 2 minutes of the game to put the Kings up 4. And then adds 6 rebounds and plays hard defense on Gorgui Dieng. Gorgui Dieng had a great game tonight, working Cousins. Then we saw Carl Landry with a big offensive rebound within the final minutes as well, and the free throws to put the Kings up 6. He finishes with 8 points and 9 rebounds, 3 offensive, and a block. So the reserve front court players were very good tonight. And then again, McLemore, his first 3 baskets were all dunks, finishes with 4 dunks. The Kings' backcourt stepped up big as Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins fouled out in the final quarter. And, Carlson, huge down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, the fast break disparity in this game, it was really impressive. 21-9. The Kings beat the Timberwolves in fast break points. The Kings want to crank it up. They want to play this fast-paced offense. It's going to lead to turnovers. It's going to lead to a lot of things. I think that what's still surprising, I think now that we have like a slightly larger sample size to see what's going on to DeMarcus Cousins, his defense has completely he's regressed over the last, I'd say, week. But at the same time, I think I'm going to give him a pass because you can tell that he just doesn't really have the energy. He's not running up and down the court. I don't think it's him being lazy. I thought, initially he's not moving his feet, which is a sign of being lazy. He's playing defense with his hands, but he's progressively gotten better. He just isn't very strong right now. You can tell on the defensive end, he's just kind of weak and a little off balance. And I think that will improve as he gets a little bit more time under his belt after his multiple illnesses that we've seen. All right, Rui, let's get to our 3 keys to the game tonight. Number 1, ball control. Why don't you take the lead on the ball control key to the game?
All right. Well, if the Kings can't decide on what to eat tonight, they should probably find a restaurant that serves sloppy joes, because they had 20 turnovers tonight, 6 in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable. They had 8 alone by Rudy Gay, but I think Carlson, who managed to limit his own turnovers to 2, was a big factor in why the Kings won tonight. This has been a problem all season, and I'm not sure if it's focus or what, but something has to change.
I totally agree. At some point, you just got to figure out what your issue is as far as the turnovers. I mean, and the thing is that, no 2 turnovers are alike, it seems like. Tonight, I know Rudy Gay kept losing the ball in traffic, which just didn't work at all. He kept like maybe he was underestimating the player he was going up against, and maybe that was it. But in the fourth quarter, Rudy Gay played 7 minutes and 40 seconds, 7:39, and he had 3 turnovers before he fouled out. So he did have 7 points in the quarter, and he had it going a little bit, 2 of 3 from the field. But still, you can't have 3 turnovers in one quarter. It's just ridiculous. And, again, in the deciding fourth quarter where the Kings almost let this game slip away, they end up with 6 turnovers. I mean, that's on pace to turn the ball over 24 times in a game. That's just not going to win very many games at all. So I would concur that the turnover issue has become like a plague with this team, and they've got to get better. All right, let's go to freebies. I'm going to let you take freebies as well. We got something different with freebies.
Oh yeah, so the Kings came into tonight leading the NBA in free throw attempts, and the Timberwolves were third in free throw attempts. The Kings and Timberwolves seem to run a similar style because they don't shoot many threes as well. But the Kings delivered at the free throw line tonight, while the Timberwolves did not. The Kings drew 29 free throw attempts and made 25 for very good 86.2% completion percentage. And then the Timberwolves choked down the stretch. Gorgie Dieng missed 2 big free throws in the final minutes, and the Timberwolves finished 16 of 22 for a 72.7% free throw percentage, is right around where they shoot as a team. So yeah, points left on the board for the Timberwolves, which helped the Kings out in the end.
All righty. Our last key to this game is DeMarcus Cousins versus the world. I think DeMarcus Cousins shook off the game that he had yesterday. I also feel like a little bit of a weight was lifted, but at the same time, I mean, this Kings team can't be super happy about a 110 to 107 victory over a team that is really, really not very good. I mean, now they're 5-26 on the season. The Kings shoot 54% and barely squeak out a win, and it's against a team that shoots 46% from the field. They just sloppy play, poor defense, erratic play. All of those things lead into it. Now, why do I bring up DeMarcus Cousins with all this stuff? Because DeMarcus Cousins is the leader of this team, and he's the guy who stepped out and said, like, look, I got to be better. We can't let this stuff affect us like it has. We've got to move forward. All of the things that DeMarcus Cousins should be saying, which is great. It's something that I think somebody had to do, and it's good that it's Cousins because it shows signs of growth yet again. But that still doesn't mean that it's okay for DeMarcus Cousins to foul out in like 26 minutes of play, 27 minutes of play. I mean, it's not like Pekovic was in this game. Going up against Dang, which is, he's a nice player, but to give up 15 and 10 to Dang isn't going to win you anything. I mean, it's not going to win games. Not when you're the most dominant big man in the game on the offensive end and a solid defender to boot. So I think the DeMarcus Cousins versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm not super impressed. DeMarcus Cousins versus the world, maybe I'm a little bit more impressed because I do think that he took a stride forward to sort of clear his head and start moving forward with all of this craziness that's going on in Kingsland.
Oh yeah, well, I think the Kings having a lead had something to do with it too. I mean, he seemed just a little bit happier out there. I mean, the hanging on the rim after that and one dunk, you could do without, but he did fade down the stretch, as you said. He started the game 3 for 3, and it looked like he was going to lead the way or have a big night until he kind of got tired. But Dang again, very crafty player. He was hard to work with, and you have to consider that Cousins was playing his second straight night without Thompson. You had Derek Williams as his front court partner, who it's hard to say if he's an average rebounder and defender, if that. So Cousins is practically doing double duty against the Timberwolves bigs. So yeah, not the explosion performance we wanted to see, but better than a dud.
That's a good point by you, Rui. That's a very good point by you. The fact that DeMarcus Cousins is having to guard a guy like Dang is an issue. I mean, the Kings over the last 2 seasons, it's been Jason Thompson who's carried the load on the defensive end that allows DeMarcus Cousins to take a lesser offensive player. Now, in this game, he was going to have to play against Dang no matter what because that's the way this team is built. You don't really want to see DeMarcus Cousins against Thaddeus Young. But the fact is, Derek Williams is not a great rebounder, and Jason Thompson is a much better rebounder. We saw that tonight. Even Jason Thompson, in his limited minutes, did come in and give him what I think is 6 boards in his limited minutes. So you're right. It is like all of a sudden DeMarcus has to rebound more. He has to defend more. I mean, again, Cousins finishes with 7 rebounds, and a lot of times you can point at DeMarcus Cousins' rebounding numbers and say, well, he's getting that many rebounds, and Jason Thompson isn't getting as many because Jason Thompson's so busy guarding someone else. But now you can kind of see what happens. I mean, it's not quite as easy to run around and grab a bunch of rebounds when you're guarding a tough cover. And so it's sort of like this whole entire package that Jason Thompson brought that's being completely ignored by the Kings at this point. I mean, he did get to play, but I don't know. Maybe I'm more angry about the fact that Jason Thompson got a DNP CD last time out than anyone else. Maybe that's just crazy talk by me, but I just think that the Kings keep trying to fix things that aren't broken, and to me that might be the most frustrating part of all of this. That like you had a good coach and you broke it, and you tried to fix it, and you broke it. You had a starting lineup that was working, and now once again you're fiddling with things that were working. So I guess we have to kind of see how this all pans out in the end. All right, Rui, let's go to our MVP of the game. Once again, I'm going to go to you and let you have at the MVP of this game.
Okay, well, with Rudy Gay and Cousins out to finish the game, Darren Collison stepped up huge. He had 15 points in the second half to finish with 21, added the 6 assists, and did a great job taking care of the ball. Only 2 turnovers out of the Kings' 20. Big shots down the stretch. We saw him hitting jumpers, driving layups, going almost coast to coast. Definitely looking like the leader of this team. The point guard, this team. A great point guard to replace Isaiah Thomas. I don't know if you would like Darren Williams at this point.
All right. I'm going to go with the different MVP. And I think Collison is the MVP of this game. I don't think there's any question about that. But if I've got to go to someone different, I'm going to go with Ben McLemore. Because for me, the one thing I'll point out about Ben McLemore is he struggled with foul trouble a little bit over the last couple of games, especially in this game in the first half. He ends up playing like almost 38 minutes tonight. But when the Kings don't have Ben McLemore on the floor, things tend to go really wrong. And I don't know, he's just providing so much as a defensive spark, and his ability to finish now, to me, is just shocking after watching this kid last year and watching him in summer league. And I don't know when the light bulb went on, but it seems like his hands have gotten better. It seems like his confidence level is soaring, and we're seeing him, even when he's not getting shots, still having extremely productive nights. And that's kind of like the benchmark, what you're looking for. Tonight, 6 of 9 from the field, 1 of 2 from the from behind 3, 14 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. He needs to do a better job rebounding. I'm going to harp on that until he's up to 5 rebounds a game, not around like 2.5. He turned the ball over 2 times, but again, this team literally has like the turnover plague. Like collectively they need to like switch powders or something. I don't know what it is. They're like the worst the worst turnover team that I've ever had to like cover. Even in the bad days of this team, I don't think we've seen turnover issues like this. But I think Ben McLemore is growing in front of our eyes. I think he's put himself in the conversation for most improved player. I think he's certainly going to make the rookie sophomore game. I don't think there's any question this year that he's a shoe-in for that after he got snubbed last year. He's progressively, his numbers are all sneaking up while people aren't looking. And it's really fun to watch a player develop and get better with each and every day. And it's something that I don't think anyone saw coming. This guy, he's shooting 40% from 3. He's shooting almost 48% from the field. He's shooting 81% from the line. He's efficient. His PER is finally coming up. It's still, I guess it's still around 10.3. But it just doesn't make any sense just because he doesn't have all these other stats. But his true shooting percentage is 60%. I mean, he's just been a monster, and he's quietly piecing together something that you can see in maybe 2 years. This kid could be an all-star. He could be an elite two guard, and it's really kind of fun to watch because I think a lot of us gave up on him coming into this season, just because it was so ragtag bad last year, and not to beat on a kid for his performance in his rookie season, but it wasn't. I mean, Nick Stauskas is having a rough start to his career. I think Ben McLemore, what we saw out of him last year was way worse than what we're seeing out of Stauskas right now, because Stauskas is being asked to do like one specific thing, and it's not always easy to do something like that to transfer your game. Ben McLemore was all over the place. So that's my MVP, and I kind of dragged that one out, didn't I? Look at that. Hey, what else you got? You have any final ideas on this game, Mr. Rui Thomas?
Okay, well, Corbin, right, says himself it's not good to say must win, but I believe this is a must win. The Kings can, exhale and take the next 2 days a little easier. They've beaten two lottery teams out of the last four lottery teams they've played, so that's something to be proud of. I guess they can feel good for the next couple days when they take on the Pistons in Detroit.
All right. For me, you're right. A win is a win. At the end of the day, I mean, that's all you can ask for from this team. They have improved to, 14 and 19 on the season. They're trying to piece it together. You can see it happening slowly, and I hope that, finding out that Tyrone Corbin is going to be the coach for the remainder of the year, I hope that was a bit of a healing, spell for this team. So I think this is a moment where we start to see who this team is. Are they going to quit, or are they going to start stringing together some sort of play that looks more like what is expected? And the Kings are going to have a little bit of time here. They don't play again until Sunday. So, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they do have a day of travel in there, but they will have a practice mixed in, so that's good. A little bit more time to spend together, some more camaraderie. Spending New Year's together, I'm sure, helped out a little bit. They should get healthy with Omri Caspi coming back. Again, Caspi missed tonight's game with that knee issue that he's had. So I think what we're seeing is maybe the lowest point of the season was New Year's Eve, was yesterday. And maybe the fresh start is beginning now, just because, this team had to win. If they lost tonight, I don't even know what would happen. I mean, literally, the fans would have been clamoring for just chaos and angry and freaking out. But at this point, I think you get to say, all right, let's take a deep breath. Everyone take a collective deep breath. Take a couple of days off. Breathe a little bit. Detroit, again, is a horrible team that they're facing on Sunday, a team that is in all kinds of turmoil themselves. And the last time the Kings played Detroit, they got handled. But it was Josh Smith that did the work. Josh Smith is gone, and so now we get to see the Kings sort of take on another team that's down, and that they can kick around a bit. So, all right, well, we will be back on Sunday when the Sacramento Kings face the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. Between now and then, there's not a whole lot else going on. We have the podcast tomorrow, and more special things for you as far as features, and of course Sunday music, Sunday morning. So I am James Ham. He is Mr. Rui Thomas. Wave. Say hello.
Hello. Goodbye.
You have been watching and listening to the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. Thanks for tuning in.